The Board of State Canvassers in Michigan just voted to certify the 2020 election. President-elect Joe Biden won Michigan by more than 150,000 votes, but President Trump and the GOP were trying to overturn those results. NBC News correspondent Heidi Prisbilla joins me now. Heidi, what a day this has been. Tell us the latest out of Michigan.
There was one member and one member alone that everyone was looking at here for answers as to how this was going to go. Frankly, Allison, it could have gone either way, and he held his cards pretty close to the vest until the end. But when he let go, he really made it pretty clear where he came down on this. This Republican board member, Aaron Langeveld, made clear that he had read over the statute many times, and he said there was nothing in there that allowed this board to assert that kind of authority over vote counts that had already taken place. All 83 counties in Michigan had already certified these results. And this job of the board is really just to put a stamp on this, put a rubber stamp on this and move it along. There's nothing in the statute that ever said that this board had that authority. So there was a lot of drama as well during some of the public comment portion of this, Allison, because there will always be a stain on what happened here in terms of the fact that these individuals on the Wayne County board and then this one individual on this canvassing board chose to pick this fight over the city of Detroit, even though the irregularities that were there, and to be clear, they were clerical errors involving a few hundred votes and nothing more. But those irregularities, they chose to pick on Detroit about, even though the surrounding areas, the majority white surrounding areas, had a higher rate of clerical errors. And so this really kind of stung at the heart of some old wounds in the state and in the city, which is a majority African-American city, that these individuals chose to pick this fight here. In the end, I listened to so much of this, Allison. There was no evidence here of fraud. There was no evidence of significant irregularities. What they did have evidence of was that they said their feelings were hurt because there were a lot of canvassers who came in there. I was there. They rushed the building. A lot of them didn't have training, didn't know what they were looking at. One of the individuals testified that a woman wanted to have an entire table of ballots thrown out because the lady counting them didn't have a name tag on. So that was the essence of the complaints. And in the end, those votes were certified. Those board members are not going to have to worry about facing legal action themselves, which was kind of the next step here if this didn't get certified, Allison.
Yeah, I mean, Heidi, I know it's hard to say right now because it just happened, but I mean, this has been a routine procedure that's been so unusual in 2020. Long term, I mean, what are the concerns about voter confidence and the impact this will have on voters in Michigan?
It'll have impact on voters in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in Florida, maybe in Georgia, because this is not an isolated incident. Look, there was a series of events taking place here. The first stage was to challenge all of these votes in lawsuits in the courts, and the courts just turned them around on their head. They spun them out and rejected them. So the next step here was to see if they couldn't get some give on the state canvassing boards to prevent certification, so that then the thought was perhaps President Trump and others in the state parties could put influence over the state legislatures to step in and try to stop certification. It was a really complicated, convoluted strategy that was never going to work in the first place, but it might have succeeded in dragging this out and further corroding that trust in our democratic process. So that's maybe the one good headline out of this. But the fact that it happened at all, Allison, really has shaken people in the city and in the entire state of Detroit. A lot of my sources who I talked to said that they couldn't believe that this was happening, that it had never happened before in the history of the state of Michigan when it comes to a presidential election.
And Heidi, as you've said, it wasn't just the meeting today. I mean, this has been quite a process. We know some GOP leaders from Michigan met with President Trump at the White House on Friday. One of them, State Senate leader Mike Shirkey, tweeted this over the weekend saying no one should be intimidating or putting pressure on the canvassers while they do their jobs, basically explaining the certification delay. How are Michigan's Democratic leaders responding? What are you hearing from them today?
Well, this literally just happened right now, but I know that they were very nervous about this. There was no certainty what this board member was going to do, and there was a lot of skepticism that because he works in the GOP and the state legislature for the House Speaker, who was one of the members who met with President Trump, that perhaps he would bend to political pressure. But Allison, I'd also had a pipeline to the Speaker's office over the past couple of days, and they told me that he believed in what he said after that meeting, when he issued a statement and he said he hadn't seen any evidence why these votes shouldn't be certified. He stuck by that. And this board member was pretty unequivocal, if you listen to his statements, that there was absolutely no justification for him, and he had no authority to call for an audit or to even delay this vote for that matter.
Heidi, the question I think a lot of people have, are there any other avenues for President Trump to take in Michigan? It seems like the campaign will try anything they can. Is this it, or do they have another option here?
That's all, folks. This appears to be the end of the road in Michigan, and it probably also is the end of the road in Nevada. And at that point, we've got the electoral majority and then certified at that point. And this will be headed for a final electoral college vote. I mean, can they come up with other things? Can they file other lawsuits? Sure. But this is a pretty significant blow to the president's strategy to try and delay this and to further sow discord and a lack of confidence in our democratic process. It's good news today. It's bad news that we've gone through this process and that so many people are now saying in the polls that they no longer trust this most sacred institution.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.